are ready to go live, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get everything going here. Looks good over there. And let's make it look good over here as well. All right. Here we go. Okay, welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. I have to think about the day. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today is a kind of a fun day where I get to do a topic that I like doing. I just don't get to do it all the time, and that is Ask Me Anything. Like it's a kind of an open-ended stream that's not based on any one topic. It is really designed for people to ask questions, hopefully that I can answer in the time that we have. And that may not be enough of a topic for a full stream, but sometimes they get, just little questions that get, lost in the cracks or just left out. So I'm going to give you some caveats first. You can ask me anything. That doesn't mean I can answer everything. So let's start off with what I can and can't do. If you ask me something that I'm not prepared to show, like for example, I didn't plug in an iPad. So if you ask me something on mobile, I can only talk to it. I can't really show it to you because I don't have the device plugged in right now. If you ask me something that I think is going to take a long time to answer and get set up just to show you, I might have to defer that. I might have to actually make that its own stream because it will take too long. I will do the best I can to answer your questions with examples, meaning showing you what the answer is rather than just explaining it verbally. So that's what I mean why I can only do so many things in the time frame that we have. And of course, if you ask me things about Adobe, like when will Adobe do blank? When will product blank ship? When will product blank have this feature? I can't answer things that haven't been publicly announced. Even if I know the answer, I can't tell you. I like my job and I want to keep it. So with that said, I have 4 questions right off the bat that came in on social media right before we got started. A few on YouTube and one on Twitter. We're going to start with the one on Twitter. And I will do my best because I'm kind of monitoring multiple chats. I will do my best to go pause, go back, look at the various questions that you've asked, and I will try not to miss anything. And if I miss your question on this session, I apologize, but you can always, again, tweet to me or Facebook to me or leave a comment even on this video on YouTube. If there's a topic that you want covered that I didn't cover or a question you want answered that maybe I didn't get the chance to answer or couldn't do in this session, you can always ask. And I always keep a running list of topics, most of which come from you, most of which come from questions that people have asked or in response to questions I've asked. So for example, the earlier sessions this week on masking, on artboards, those were all sessions proposed by you. I never thought to show those things as live streams. How to make a book in InDesign, that was, so pretty much everything I've done this week has been user driven. It's been driven by you. All right, so can I just point you to some Adobe Rush tutorials? I would say check out the Premiere Pro YouTube channel. They probably have a link to the Rush videos. I did a Rush video last week. You can go look at mine. So yeah, they're out there. Just go look at the proper channels. There might even be a Rush YouTube channel. I just haven't checked to see if there is one. So that was a question that I wasn't going to answer, but he just asked it and I just saw it. I just answered it right there. All right. So let's get to the questions that I've already got queued up. Again, 4 of them, and then I'll get to the ones that are new after that, and let's do it. All right, I'm gonna switch over to my computer. This way you get to actually see this particular question. And here's the question, and it was actually related to the artboard topic. It was, can I export Illustrator artboards to JPEG, PNG, etc. at the same time? And it took me a minute. I didn't answer that one. I did answer them, but I didn't answer it right away because I had to think about it. And yes, there's an answer for that. So this is kind of tying into what we did earlier this week. Let's pop over to Illustrator. I have multiple artboards here in this document. And if I wanted to export them out all at the same time, I would go, or not all at the same time necessarily, but in different formats all at the same time, I would go up to my file menu. I would choose export. I would use the export for screens. Sounds weird. Like, what if you're not doing for screens? But it's okay. Export for screens. This will let you pick and choose which artboard you want to export. And more importantly, over here on the right-hand side, you can specify the format. So 1x means the scale. Just make it 100% of whatever the artboard is. Here's the format, PNG format. But you can add a scale, which means add another export. So if I say add a scale, nope, I don't want it to be enlarged. I still want it to be 1x, but I want it to be JPEG instead. JPEG at 100% quality, 80% quality, 50% quality, so forth and so on. So JPEG at 100% quality, if I hit export the artboards that I check off, I will get 2 graphics per artboard. So yes, you can do that. And this is how you would do that. All right, second question. Alice on YouTube just asked today. She wanted to know everything in the toolbar in Illustrator. That's one of those. I don't have time to show you every single feature in the toolbar or the menu bar today. But specifically, she wanted to know about the save options in Illustrator. So, for example, there are a lot. I was like, well, isn't there just save and save as? And then I went up there and looked and I was like, oh, I see what she means. There's like 4 of them, 5 of them right off the bat. So the one that's grayed out is save. Just like in any other application, that will only be available if you've made a change or created a document. Either A, you've never saved it, or B, you've made changes since the last save. And it's grayed out right now because I haven't made any changes. But if I were to go move something or do anything and then go file, save is now an option because I made a change. Okay, so what's that? And again, these 2 are just standard in every application. Save as means I want to make another version of this document. I want to save it as a new name. So if I do save as, I can type in whatever name, location, whatever, and whatever format. Maybe I don't even want it to be the same format, and that would do a save as. So save and save as, nothing new, been in every application since day one. What is different in Illustrator is there's a save a copy. Well, and that took me by surprise because I'm like, what's the difference between that and save as? Save as saves a copy, or can. So save a copy is literally save a copy. That's all it is. It's just going to put the word copy on the end of the file name. And it's going to do the exact same thing as save as. It's going to let you pick the location where you want it. It's going to let you pick the format. Kind of a waste of a menu command, Illustrator team, if you're listening. I don't know why we need a separate save a copy, but it's there. Save as template. Now, this is something unique to Illustrator and InDesign specifically. There may be other applications that have it, but save a template means that you want to make a document that when people double click on, it opens up with everything in it that you put in it, but it will be untitled, meaning they won't be opening your original. They'll be opening up kind of like opening a copy. So this way you can design a template that you want people to be able to use and fill in and whatever without ever disturbing the original template. So you save this file, it's an AIT file, they double click on it, it opens up in Illustrator, everything's there the way you designed it. But when they hit save, they're not saving over the template, they're saving a new copy by default, so they can't ever mess up, so to speak. All right, and then last but not least, save selected slices. This is a web workflow if you use the slice tool. So for example, web developers for years have taken a large design and sliced it up into pieces using the various slice tools in Photoshop and Illustrator. And this lets you save those slices out. That's it. I don't know how current that workflow is today. I'm not a web developer, so I don't know if people still do that, but that's what it's for. So we covered all the save commands, at least Alice. And see how long that took right off the bat. So I don't have time to tell you everything. All right, next up, how to change the color of something that is white in Photoshop. All right, if it were in Illustrator, you just select the object and pick a color. But in Photoshop, it's a little different. So let's switch over to Photoshop. And I've got something here, an example. I think I got a guy wearing a white t-shirt. Maybe. There he is. All right, so here's the problem. I want that t-shirt to be a different color. And traditionally, you could use things like hue and saturation, or you could use the color replacement tool, or select color and replace the color that way. But none of those methods work if it's white or black, because there is no hue to change. There's nothing there. It's just white. It's devoid of color. So it's not an easy thing to do. However, as always, in Photoshop, there usually is a way. So first thing I need to do is get the shirt selected. Because I'm not trying to change his arm, I'm not trying to change his pants, his neck. I need to just get the shirt selected. So I got to tell Photoshop, only change this one thing. Now, how you select it is literally up to you. You could use the magic wand. I wouldn't, but you could. You could use quick select. You could use select subject and then deselect the other parts of the subject you want. Again, selecting something that is, there are a million ways to select something in Photoshop, is what I'm trying to say. So for example, if I started using quick select, I could start dragging, it will start selecting white. It will overreach because the background is white too, and that's okay because I can always hold down the Option key or Alt key and deselect. I can tell it, no, don't go up there, don't get that. But see, it's so close in color, it might take a couple clicks to get it. And let's get rid of that and get rid of that and get rid of that. And under the arm's good. Under the arm here is not good because it was selecting that white wall. All right. And that's okay. I think that's shirt right there. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. But this again take your time and do a good job on the selection. I just kind of quickly did it with quick select. All right, so now that I got the shirt selected, which is what I want to change the color of, how can I change that white to a different color and still maintain the shirt? Because I can fill it with red, but then you're going to lose all the wrinkles. You're going to lose all the definition that it's a shirt. So what we want to do, once you make your selection, you're going to come down to the Layers panel, and you're going to click the adjustment layers, and you're going to add a solid color, the one at the top. What this will do is it will automatically create a layer, and it will automatically mask it based on your selection. So once I do that, boom, it did it. Now you're probably saying, well, Terry, isn't that just like filling it with red? Yes, it is. We're not done yet. All right, so pick your color at this point, mix your color, do whatever color you want. I'm gonna get like a nice blue. Once I get that nice blue dialed in, the one that I want, I can always come back and change it. Now I click OK, and there's one more step to make it not just a flat, solid blue, to make it blend in. Use a blend mode. So we're gonna switch to multiply. Oops, sorry, not dissolve, multiply. There we go. So that gives us our definition of the shirt back. It also shows us any areas we missed. So for example, I can see some edge of the shirt here that didn't get selected initially, but no problem because it's a mask. And we did masking yesterday. So if I click on the mask and I grab my white paintbrush, and in this case, I normally like 90% of the time use a soft edge brush, but in this case, I do want a hard edge brush. And I'm just gonna go in, grab a stylus because it's easier, and just add back in the missing shirt that I missed. All right, so just doing that. And if you went too far, just hit the letter X to go to black and take out. Yeah, see, I thought that was wall. I couldn't tell. And take out any areas that you don't want. All right, so now let's say you change your mind. You want the shirt a different color. You do want to go with red now. You can double click right back on that color fill layer, and you can go to like the reds. There we go. The reds are up there. And you can pick pink, red, purple, whatever you want, whatever color shirt you want that to be. So that's how you would change a white object to a color. The other way to do, oh, I see it. I'm just going to be picky with the mask down here. The other way to do, or the other option is, because what naturally would come from this is, okay, well, what if the object was black? Do the same steps, but instead of multiply as your blend mode, you'd use screen. So give that a shot. All right, next up, I got one more question, and this isn't a show me something. This is literally Jerry on YouTube asking a question. Jerry's asking, what is my favorite genre to photograph, and which did I start with? As if what I started with isn't my favorite, but okay. What I started with is my favorite. I started with, and I'm still my favorite is portraits, but I do both portraits and travel. So if I had to say which is a favorite, it would still be portraits. Like most photographers will tell you, we photograph like lots of things, but when it comes down to what you're passionate about and what you do for your real work, it's usually going to be one or two genres, and that's it. So for me, portraits, people, and travel. All right, so I gave YouTube some love. Let me look over here, make sure I'm not missing anything on the Facebook. Let's go here, the Facebook. Remember that? Let's go here. Okay? So Rodrigo's asking kind of another question. It's not a demo for. He's asking a little bit off topic. There is no topic, so it's not off topic. What is the best way to get certified in Adobe software? Back when I did it many years ago, there was literally a testing center. You would go sign up to go take the test for each application. And if you pass the test, you get your certification. The test isn't what you think, though. It's not like you're going to sit at a computer and run Photoshop and do it. You're going to sit at a computer, and it's going to all be like a web-based question and answer. So you're going to answer questions about whatever application. Most of them are multiple choice. Most of them will show you, if they need to, the screen of the application, so you can pick like the right tool or the right thing to answer the question. And it was called the Adobe Certified Expert Program. I don't know that the Adobe Certified Expert Program still exists or not, but I know where you can go find out. Go to partners.adobe.com, and whatever certifications are there for Adobe or that we still have will be there. So the program used to be ACE, Adobe Certified Experts. Not sure if ACE still exists, but whatever certifications there are will be there. All right. Can we see an updated fireworks again? This one I will answer no. So I doubt if you will see that product come back. That's just my opinion. That's not the word from Adobe. All right. Can you shoot tethered to an iPad Pro wired or wirelessly? Not wired. There's no way that I know of to do it wired. There are solutions that let you do it wirelessly. And basically what they're like, for example, both Canon and Nikon, for example, have software that lets you wirelessly transfer the images to a mobile device. If you're shooting RAW, that's going to be a long process. Like I tried it once on the new mirrorless Z6 for Nikon, and the process for RAW files was like a minute per image. So it was basically unusable from the standpoint of wanting to shoot and look at the iPad. But if you shot RAW plus JPEG and only transferred the JPEGs to look at, then you could do that, and that would only take a couple seconds. So there are solutions that let you do that. And it would be based on either the camera manufacturer or devices that literally go on top of the camera that wirelessly talk to the iPad. But wired, no, I've not seen a solution for that. All right, can I just order Adobe CC, but I don't want to spend another $30. So Katrina's asking, can she just order Adobe PDF, which I guess you mean Adobe Acrobat. Can you subscribe to just that? You already have the photography plan. You don't want to spend the extra $30 or $40 to get the whole thing. Yes, Acrobat should be an individual subscription, just like I think each of the products you can subscribe to individually if you don't want the whole thing. All right. Wayne is asking something about Illustrator. Can in trace in Illustrator ignore white box stay on by default? Okay, so Wayne's asking a specific question about the image trace in Illustrator. He wants to know, can you make the ignore white box stay on by default? And I've never tried that. I'm guessing because you haven't been able to do it. The answer is probably no. But I don't know of a way to do that. And by the way, that was one of the other caveats that I was going to mention early on. If you ask me something I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know the answer. So that's one of those I don't know the answer. I'm guessing no. But that would be a feature request. So you can always go to Adobe Voice for each of the products and literally request that feature. And the team looks at that stuff every single day. All right. Let's see. Here's another question. Entering disappears. I found the text within a sentence. Well, disappearing. How do I keep the text from disappearing without deleting text? All right, so Antoinette's asking an InDesign question to the effect of, she has an existing frame. She goes to insert more text into that frame, and the text is disappearing. I need a little bit more on what do you mean by disappearing? Is it going below the line of the frame and therefore being cut off? Is it, so let me switch to InDesign. So that's one of those, we can talk about that. So for example, we pop over to InDesign, we create a new document, just again, sample document, and we create a frame. And let's say we fill that frame with some text. Oh, you know what? Let's do it this. Yeah, let's do it this way. Let's type, fill with placeholder text. That's going to fill the whole frame. But let's say I now make that frame bigger so we have more room. And what you're saying is if you enter more text after this, the text you're placing or copying or pasting or whatever disappears. Again, that's where I need to know more. So for example, if I were to copy all of this and I were in the frame wasn't big enough, like that, and then I were to paste in all the rest of that text, this red plus sign means that it's overset. The text is there, you just can't see it all because the frame's too small or the text is too big, depending on your frame of reference. So here's one way to see to see if that disappearing text is really there. Dana, yes, I did see your question. So you can bring up the story editor. So the story editor is designed to show you all of the text, no matter what you actually see on the page. So just on Mac, or hit Command Y, on PC, hit Control Y. That brings up the story editor in InDesign, and the red line is the text you're not seeing because there's more text than will fit in the frame, which causes an overset situation. So again, I don't know if that's what you were referring to, but try Command Y or PC Control Y to bring up the story editor to see if you see the missing text that you're not seeing. All right. So Dana's asked a question. Let me get to Dana's question since she asked it a while ago. How do you make gold or silver text effect? Mine looks yellow or gray in Photoshop or Illustrator. Well, to make something look metallic, which is what you're really asking. I'm going to assume that's what you're really asking. So let's say we, oh, wrong mouse. Let's say we grab the type tool. Boom. We grab the type tool and we type the word gold. And we hold down our command key or control key and we just make gold bigger. And now that we got the word gold, let's go ahead and make it a yellowish color at least. So we'd be in the neighborhood of gold. All right, and let's go up here. And let's come down here. And again, this is what you mean by, yeah, it's yellow, but that's not really gold. That's just like yellow. All right, so we get the text kind of in the neighborhood of what we're looking for. Now what you would need to do to actually make, at least my way of making something metallic, is to use the bevel and emboss, because that will give it that depth that makes something look metallic. So if I go to bevel and emboss under my layer styles, you can already start to see it take effect. So see, it's adding those shadows, it's adding that reflective property that's making something actually look like gold. You can change it, alter the color and play with that, but Down here where you have your various gloss contours is where you can really play with it and see, oh, see, that's gold. See, because really it's more about not the color, but about the shadows and the reflective properties that make it look gold. All right, but play with this. This will kind of give you some ideas of what gold could look like. Ooh, I kind of like that one. And you could always not make it so strong. Like you could lower it a little bit, lower the depth a little bit, lower the size a little bit maybe. There we go. But see, once it's flat, then it's flat. So you start to lose that gold look to it. There we go. All right, so hopefully that answered that question. Wow, thanks. You're right. Oh, you're welcome. All right, so let's look over here now. I love, that was funny. Let's see, do you use any open source? Do I use any open source software for photo editing? I have the world's best photo editing software in the world, so no, I use Photoshop and Lightroom. Let's see, how do you... That's a good question, actually, 77 Grand River. And I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I'd have to do some research. But the question is, how do you get Adobe Creative Cloud to sync to a different drive? And if you mean the Creative Cloud folder, I seem to remember there was an option to put that somewhere else, but I could be wrong. So if we go to our Creative Cloud and we go look in your preferences, to see if there's a way to move that folder to sync to a different drive. Because, you know, obviously if it's always on your internal drive, I get why you'd want to do it. Your internal drive's filling up. You have this big external drive. Why can't it be there? So I would check under your Creative Cloud application, the preferences, and see if there's an option there for moving it to a different location. All right. Rudy B is asking one of those will Adobe ever questions, and I already said I can't answer those. Let's see. All right, so someone's asking, well, how would you change a color, any color to white? So they're asking the opposite of that, the thing I showed earlier. So let's grab something that is color. And I think I did this on the car one before. Let's open this one up. So we have this red car. What if I want the car to be white? So one of the things you can do is you can do the same exact, this doesn't require selection only because the only thing red in the image is the car. So it makes it easy. If there was a red car and red roses, then I'd have to select the car, not to change the roses. But since this is the only thing red, makes my life easy. I would go down here and I would add a hue and saturation adjustment. When I add that hue and saturation adjustment, I can just grab the little clicker here and I can go sample red to just put me in the ballparks of the reds that I'm now going to start adjusting. Or I could just pull down red from the menu. And then I can decrease the saturation, increase the lightness. And I'd add one more thing to play with the amount of white there. I would add a levels adjustment to play with the black and white point. But as you can see, it's already starting to turn white. So we'd probably do one more thing. We'd probably go to, wrong thing. We'd go here and we would add a levels. And then I could play with the black and white points to kind of like see where I want to be. That's too much. That's not the right one. Probably this one. Nope, sorry, this one. There we go. So yeah, I'd have to make a selection. I'd have to play with the midtones and start to make, I would make a selection because I'm doing black and white, the rest of the image is black and white, so it is getting affected. So at this point, I would actually have to select the car if I really wanted the car to go white and nothing else to go white. Also keep in mind that this adds a mask. So if you like what you did, but you don't want it everywhere, you can always invert the mask, Command I. And we did this masking thing yesterday. So we go to the brush tool and it would probably be easier to select the car, but you could go back in and you could grab a brush. I'll use a big brush, for example, here. And I can just go paint back in the stuff that I want it to be white. So in other words, it'd probably be easier to select the car. So that way you're not getting everything that you don't want. I'm just doing a quick hack job here, but you get the idea. So yes, you could make the thing white that you select. If you go in and do the hue, saturation, and levels adjustment, and then you wouldn't have to do this hack job of painting that I'm doing. So make the selection first, it'd be easier. All right, but anyway, just to show you that yes, it can be done. All right, that was a down and dirty and don't ever do it that way kind of thing. All right, next up, how do you find photos that are missing in Lightroom? Can't find them. Okay, so George is asking a Lightroom, I gotta imagine a Lightroom Classic question. And let me switch over to Lightroom Classic, which I happen to have. Here it is. So a missing photo simply means that Lightroom doesn't know where it is, meaning somehow the location of the photo on the hard drive got changed. And this is where I always tell people, stop doing things outside of Lightroom. I'm not saying you did, but let's say in general, if you move a folder to a different drive and then you launch Lightroom, again, and that Lightroom was referencing that folder, well, now you've moved it to a different drive. It doesn't know where it is. So you'd have to actually tell Lightroom to go find it. If you change the name of the folder, change the name of the drive, change the name of the images, anything that changes the physical path from your hard drive to the pictures folder, to the folder it's in, to the folder it's in, to the image itself, any of that gets changed, Lightroom's going to call that a missing photo. It's not going to know where it is. So the best thing is to avoid the problem in the first place by never changing anything outside of Lightroom. You want to move images to a different drive? Move them to a different drive in Lightroom. I've got a video on how to do just that. But if you did lose something or something got disconnected or you move something or whatever, there will be like a little, I'm trying to think, I don't know that I have any missing photos, but there will be a, let's see if I can make one missing. Let's go find this photo in the, actually, you know what, let's go find this photo in the operating system here. Show in Finder. I'm going to break this one on purpose. All right, there it is, and it's Yuka 031. So I'm going to change it to Yuka 00031. I'm going to add an extra 0. Now that I've changed that outside of Lightroom, when I come back, there it is. It's got the icon for a broken image. That exclamation point says, oh, photo's missing. I don't know where this photo is anymore because I messed with it. So I could fix that by going and fixing what I just did, changing the 0 back, and it will just automatically link back up. Or if I want to keep that name the name, then I can always just say, click the exclamation point, photo can't be found. This is where it used to be located, meaning I tell it where the new photo is now. There we go. And click select. Yes, I'm sure. And now that exclamation point goes away. So you could do it by a whole folder of images. You could do it by individual images. But if you break it, then you got to fix it. You break it, you bought it. All right. We got time for maybe one or two more. Let's see. All right. Let's prefer. All right. Saving. Okay, so how do I downsize a Photoshop file when saving the file out of Photoshop? Okay, so I'm going to answer that one. I'm going to take another question from Facebook. If you'd have just simply said, how do I downsize a photo? I could have given you many ways to do that. But when it comes to a PSD, for example, this one, it's got multiple layers. It is what it is. The data in it is the data in it. So you'd have to give up something to make the PSD smaller. And what I mean by give up something, you'd have to decide what's more important, a smaller file or the ability to edit everything that I have in it at the resolution I have it at. So I could always go, for example, to image size, and I could always downsize the image. I could say, oh, instead of 300 pixels per inch, make it 72. And that will make my Photoshop file smaller. It'll make my resolution less. So I'm going to have a lower quality image if I mess with this. The other option would be to remove layers or consolidate layers. That will also make your Photoshop file smaller. But again, that's a choice you got to make. You have to say is what's more important, having all these layers that I always want to be able to go back to and make changes to, or a smaller file. So if you merge layers, combine layers together, flatten layers, flatten the image, your file will be smaller, but you're going to lose that ability to go back. You change the resolution, your file will be smaller, but you're not going to have as much resolution as you had before. There is no magic bullet to make the Photoshop file smaller other than getting rid of some stuff. So it's just like, how do I make my house bigger? You don't. You get rid of the stuff in the house to make more room. All right, let's do a couple more over here or one more over here, and then we will unfortunately be out of time. And hopefully this was helpful to you guys. All right, I'm going to scroll down. Can I do more of these questions answered or sessions? Absolutely. That was an easy one, but I won't count that one as the last one. All right. Let's do something else here. Have problems in Safari to create links. That's not really, unless you tell me it's something to do with an Adobe product, I can't really help you with that one. There's an option to change the folder. Says your previous video. How do I back up to an external drive? What I want to know is how to set up Lightroom to make a second backup to a separate drive so that it gives me two separate backups. Okay. Dennis is asking a question about Lightroom and about backing up. So here's the deal. We go back to Lightroom for a second. Let's just take a folder. Let's take this folder called HDR Demo. Okay, it's got one thing in it, and let's say it's got 1, 1,000, 10,000. Whatever it's got in it, it's got in it. That folder exists on my hard disk, in my Dropbox folder, in a folder called Photos, and that's where it lives. If I want to back that up, that's on me to back up that folder. Lightroom doesn't have any ability to back that up after the initial import. So once it's imported, it's on you. Like there is no other backup feature in Lightroom to say, hey, keep backing up that HDR demo. You know, every time I add some images to that folder, keep backing it up. It's a one-time thing. And where's that one-time thing? When you do an import, there will be an option, a one-time option, which I never use it, but there it is in the upper right-hand corner. It's called Make a Second Copy. So that will do it once, the first time you import a folder of images. And it's really kind of a safety net for photographers that they went out, they did a shoot, they came back with their memory card, they put the memory card in, they want to back up those images, and just in case, they want to copy them to a second drive somewhere else, whatever, while they're importing them. So it will do it that one time. And it will make the copy, and it will forget about that copy. It has nothing to do with that copy anymore. After that, it's on you. So after that initial import, there is no more backing up those images in Lightroom anymore. It will only back up the ones you import from that point on. All right, here's one more from Twitter because it's a quick and easy one. Hi, Terry. When should I use groups in Photoshop and when should I use smart objects? Well, the groups in Photoshop is really up to you. What groups means is simply an organization method, or it's an editing tip. So it depends on what you want to do. So for example, I've got the word gold, I've got the red shirt layer, and I've got the background, which is the background. I'm going to unlock the background, so now it's a layer. What he's referring to is I could take any one, two, or any more of those layers, and I can say, put them in a group. All right, so now it's a group. What's the advantage of that? Well, the first advantage is I can treat the group as one thing. So I could say, hey, I want to move the group around. Oh, look at that. I'm moving everything around even though I didn't have all the layers selected anymore. The second thing is I can apply a layer mask, which we learned yesterday, and mask the whole group. So if I grab my black paintbrush, I can now mask the entire group as one thing. The other reason you would do a group is simply for organization. Like you've got 100 layers and you don't want to look at 100 layers. You want to look at 5 things. So you'd make 5 groups. So for example, actually, I don't have time to look for it and bring it up, but that would be why you use groups. When you use smart objects is when you want a non-destructive workflow. So for example, I want to go to the guy that we started with and I want to play around with filters, but I don't want to edit the pixels. So I can say filter, convert for smart filters, which basically makes it a smart object. Now, if I were to run the camera raw filter, for example, on this, and I were to make changes to the original layer, I were to go in and bump up the exposure quite a bit. I wouldn't do that, but let's say I did. Click OK. That we changed this ethnicity. That change is non-destructive because I made the smart object. Had I run the camera raw filter without doing that and I were to close Photoshop, I'd have a heck of a time getting that back. But now all I'd have to do is either turn it off or go right back to the camera raw filter and make the change less dramatic. There we go. Click OK and done. So smart objects, when you want to do things that you don't want to be permanent. You don't necessarily want to, you always want to be able to get back and change. Groups are for all the reasons I named groups for. All right, so that is it. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. We are out of time, but I see that this is beneficial, so we'll do these more often than what I've been doing, which is probably once every couple months, once every few months. So with that said, I want to say thanks, everyone. The questions were great. I'm sorry, like I said, I just didn't get a chance to get to all of them, but hopefully you got something out of this, and hopefully you'll get something out of the next time we do it. Keep the questions coming. If you see something that's going to be longer than a couple minutes to explain, suggest it as a streaming topic. I'm always looking for topics. That's the hardest part of doing these, is not showing you how to do something, is coming up with what you want to learn how to do. So keep the topics coming, keep the questions coming. It always gives me content ideas for the next thing that I'm about to do. All right, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye everybody. Bye Colleen in South Africa. I know it's late there. Bye everybody.